Well, good evening. Annyeong hashimnika. I'm Dan Wilkinson, the commander of American Legion Post 370 here in Overland Park. Welcome to our post, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here to show your appreciation for veterans, specifically veterans of the Korean War. Yeah. At this time, could all the veterans in the room please stand up? Just to be recognized. Veterans in the back, too. I see you, Bruce. Thank you all very much for your service. At this time, I'd like to quickly thank Jerry Sherrill for providing the Korean War displays and a lot of the memorabilia. Thank you very much, Jerry. I've got a few people to thank. So, also, please check this stuff out. Also, we've got 2 rifles up here. They are unloaded. They cannot fire. So check them out. See how heavy those were. Those are the actual rifles that our soldiers carried during the Korean War. Just imagine carrying that heavy rifle, a few hundred rounds of ammunition, and your gear. That's a lot of weight. I'm going to introduce the Korean War veterans a little bit later, but right now I'd like to introduce some of our special guests. One of our primary sponsors is Dr. T.J. Shin. Also, Pastor Hyun-hee Chung from the, where's he at? There he is. And all the members from Kansas Woori Church. Where are you? Thank you so much. Also, I would like to introduce Martin Freeze, retired colonel with the Army. He is the commander. He's the commander of the VFW post in Overland Park. And he brought with him a very special guest, Major Cho Hong-nae. He's with the Republic of Korea Army. He's here for some training up at Leavenworth. So, very special guest. Thank you for being here. We've got Michael Williams, Army veteran. He spent a lot of time in Korea. He is also from the office of Congresswoman Sharice Davids. So, thank you for being here. He's with his lovely wife, Nicole, and their brand new grandbaby, Alana. We've got 2 representatives from FISH, Friends in Service of Hero, Paul Chapa, the founder. Where is he? Oh, there he is. And Tree Wynn, right-hand man. Okay, I don't want to forget somebody. I really want to thank Ben On. There he is, right here. I want to thank him for capturing this event, putting it on video so we can share it with others and our friends and family in Korea. Thank you, Ben. Just real quick, a few others. Lieutenant Colonel Marvin Browning, right over here, in uniform. You can't see him. Camouflage. We've got our American Legion District 2 Commander, Jeff Winters, right here. A few other district officers with him. And all of our Post 370 officers, where are you? Are you out there somewhere? Got a few. Where's my vice? There he is right here. I think I covered everybody I wanted to. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, who? Well, you're an officer. All right. Okay, here we go, folks. South Korea, the Republic of Korea, the land of the morning calm. A beautiful, advanced, wealthy, and free nation. But it always hasn't been so. The TVs on the side walls, you see pictures from 1950. And we also see beautiful pictures from Korea and life as it is today. Korea now leads the world in technology. They're in the top 10 in the world's wealthiest nations. It's hard to imagine what Korea would look like today had the United States and brave young men not gone to Korea between 1950 and 1953. Most likely, it would have become a communist nation. Who knows the Korean national anthem? Anybody know it? Can you sing it? You can sing along in a minute if you want. The song is called Aegukga. It translates to the patriotic song. This song has been sung by Koreans since the late 1800s, but it became very popular during the occupation by Japan that started in 1910. Korea was annexed by the Empire of Japan for 35 years. Now, those were some very dark times for Koreans. And I believe most of the Koreans who were alive in the mid-1940s were very thankful to Americans for defeating Japan during World War II and ending the rule over Korean Peninsula. Aegukga became the national anthem of South Korea in 1948, just 2 years before another country invaded South Korea. At this time, please stand for the national anthems of South Korea and the United States of America.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rugged red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yes, please be seated. Freedom is not free. Now we'll recognize and honor prisoners of wars and those missing in action from all wars and conflicts. Sergeant at Arms, please place the POW MIA flag on the empty chair. Thank you very much. Okay, again, I want to thank Dr. T.J. Shin. At this time, could you come up and say a few words? Dr. T.J. Shin.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you all. You are my heroes. A few months ago, my son, Aaron, he was asking me, Daddy, who's your hero, Spider-Man or Iron Man? And I talked to him, you know what? You're going to see my heroes soon. You are my heroes. You are stronger than Spider-Man, stronger than Iron Man. All right? And then how was your food? Was great? So first of all, I will appreciate it to my church members, brothers, sisters. They spend their time to cook and serve this event. And also, American Region Post 370 Commander Dan and his wife Lion. I will appreciate for them because they set up for this event and this program. And a little short story. When I was young, my father and my mother talking about Korean War. My mom was born in North Korea at that time. A long time ago, there was not North Korea, South Korea. But she was born in Pyongyang, North Korea at this time. And then her family has to flee to South Korea, evacuations, because everybody was trying to kill the rich people. I mean, that's what they said, but my father and my mother said, if you go to America, you be a doctor, then you have to be really well, and then you have to remember what they did for us. You saved a lot of Korean people. You saved Korea. I really appreciate it. That's why I'm here. So this is my honorable it's a moment in my life. A lot of good people, my friends, and my heroes here. I never see Korean veterans before. You are my first time to see. So if you have another chance to see another Korean food serving, maybe next time, I will happy to do it. And then I love your smile. All right. So thank you one more time. I really appreciate it to coming here, join this event, and I really appreciate to everybody here. Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Thank you, TJ. You know, I often thought that our Korean War veterans didn't really receive the recognition for what they sacrificed and accomplished with their Korean allies. War is never easy, but U.S. military who went to Korea faced extreme conditions. Mountainous terrain, mud, ice, extreme cold, and extreme heat. I was contacted by Dr. Shin a few months ago through a mutual friend. Is Thomas here? Thomas Dunez is not here. But Dr. Shin told me those stories about his mother, and he said that he would like to honor Korean War and Korean War era veterans. So here we are. Thank you. Never would have happened if we hadn't met, so thank you very much. Hello again. I'm a retired Air Force veteran. I was blessed to be able to spend about 8 years in Korea, both working military uniform and as a civilian. In fact, in 2005, I met my lovely wife, Pak Gun-lan, or Lonnie, we call her. I'm so happy that she wore her hanbok tonight. She really didn't want to. I kind of begged her to wear it. It's just a beautiful part of their culture, so I'm really happy she wore it. Thank you. I loved living in Korea. Of course, the food. Love the food. Anybody that spent time in Korea talks about the street food, the kimchi, everything we had tonight, the yakimandu, japchae. Fortunately, the wonderful members from Kansas Woori Church made all those delicious dishes. Thank you so much again. It was outstanding. I also loved the beautiful mountains, the beaches, the vibrant city life in Seoul, the warm people. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Now, those of you who were there between 1950 and 1953, I know you didn't experience much beauty. It was a war-torn country, but it was a proud country. My wife's father was a Korean Marine. He was very proud of his service, and I know my wife was very proud of her father. But all able-bodied Korean men fought during those wars. Many did not live to see the victory. But Koreans are very patriotic, and you cannot go anywhere without seeing their flag, Taeguki. Some people may wonder what it means. There's a lot of meaning to their flag. Simplistically, it's yin-yang, balance, earth, sky, water, and fire. One observation I had while living in Korea, the different generations had different thoughts about the Americans and Americans who were living in their country. The older generations welcomed Americans with open arms. They were very appreciative of how the Americans helped end Japanese occupation, but also that U.S. helped push back invading troops from North Korea and China. Sadly, as in American schools, the younger generation of Koreans are not being exposed to the history and the stories of the friendship and partnership between our two countries. It was a bond in blood and treasure then, and that continues today. Now, speaking of friendship and partnership, I'd like to bring up Major Cho at this time for his thoughts. Again, he's the Republic of Korea Army. Major Cho, he's currently attending the School of Advanced Military Studies at Fort Leavenworth. Major Cho.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me today. I'm Major Cho, Rock Army Combat Infantry Officer. First of all, I would like to thank you all, the U.S. military Korean War veterans and the families here, and also members of American Legion Post here, also Dr. Shin and Woori Church, 우리교회, who is thankfully supporting this event today. It's a great honor to join the U.S. military Korean War veteran event. We honor you today. 70 years ago, you came to an unknown land to preserve freedom and peace. And then you gave a warm helping hand to us in the time of despair and hardship with the name of the friendship. You came running into the danger which might separate you from your loved ones for good. Without your sacrifice, South Korea must have been communized, and we can't imagine what would have happened to 52 million South Koreans who are living out there today. On behalf of Rock Army Officers Corps, I truly, sincerely thank you for your service and dedication for my country. I hope you have a great time today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Major. The Korean War was commonly known as the Forgotten War. 3 years of brutal war stuffed in between World War II and Vietnam. We had just spent 6 long years fighting wars in Europe, Northern Africa, and all over the Pacific theater. Our boys were tired. Our country needed a break from war. We didn't get that break. We prayed for peace. Sometimes our prayers are unanswered. Our military is called upon time and time again to face evil, and sometimes we fight and die for a cause we don't agree with. Maybe we don't understand it. Maybe we're going to a country we've never even heard of. The Soviet Union, they knew the world was tired. This would be a good opportunity to spread communism and take an early victory at the beginning of the Cold War. They thought they could push Chinese and North Korean forces south and control the entire Korean peninsula. Their plan almost worked. At the end of World War II, Korea was divided at the 38th parallel, separating the North and South Koreas. On June 25th, 1950, North Korean forces, using tanks, weapons, and equipment supplied by the Soviet Union, crossed the border going towards the capital city of Seoul. As much as the South Koreans fought for their land and freedom, they were just no match against the North Koreans using Soviet equipment. In just a few weeks, communist forces had captured almost all of the Korean Peninsula. Almost all. U.S. General Douglas MacArthur was overseeing the resistance at Pusan, preventing total seizure of Korea. General MacArthur made a daring plan to continue to preserve Pusan, but also bring 260 ships and 75,000 men, mostly the feared U.S. Marines, into the port of Incheon. The Marines coming in from Incheon attacked the enemy from the rear and cut off supplies, while the other forces in Pusan pushed north. This was the turning point in the war. Only 2 months later, November 1950, communist forces were pushed almost back to China. There were many battles in coming months that moved that battle line north and south. But on July 27, 1953, the two sides signed an armistice. Again, drawing the line at the 38th parallel. But this did not end the war. This is essentially a ceasefire. Still today, the two Koreas are technically still at war. And you can feel that tension. Anybody been to the DMZ, the JSA? Yeah. You can feel that tension up here. You can see it. That red line is what separates North from South Korea. If you're ever in Seoul, please take a tour of the JSA. This Wednesday is Korean Armistice Day. It marks the 69th anniversary of that ceasefire. And that's why U.S. military has been stationed in South Korea from 1950 to today. There are still 28,000 U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines in South Korea as part of U.S. Forces Korea. Our forces continue to train side by side with South Korean military. Our slogan, Kachi Kapshida, or Together We Go. We're ready to fight tonight. The Korean War was only 37 months long, but in those 3 years, there were devastating losses on both sides. All major cities on the entire Korean peninsula were destroyed. Up to 5 million people died. Most were civilians. The percentage of civilian deaths in Korea was higher than in World War II and Vietnam. South Korean or civilian losses. It's estimated that almost 3 million Korean civilians lost their lives. That was 10% of South Korea's population at the time, or 1 in 10 people, and 20% of North Koreans' people, or 1 in 5 people. The South Korean military had over 200,000 killed, 700,000 wounded, and 43,000 missing in action. Today, as I mentioned, South Korea has made incredible advances since the war. It's really remarkable. And Seoul, what a beautiful and vibrant city of more than 26 million people in the metro area. 26 million people. Now, Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago together have 16 million. Who's been to Seoul before? Who has driven in Seoul? You know, I think I used my horn the first 2 days I was driving in Seoul than I've used my entire life. They teach you to be a defensive driver here. Over there, you need to do a little of both. You really do. Also imagine what Seoul would look like today, and Major Cho mentioned this, had South Korea fall into communism. We've all heard stories of life in North Korea. It's horrible. The strict authoritarian control of its people, the famine, starvation is rampant, labor camps, executions. I still cannot believe that this is going on in 2022, right in view of the entire world. North Koreans are willing to die trying to escape to South Korea. No one deserves this, but North Korea has just not advanced. The world is leaving them behind. And this could have been South Korea's fate. You've all seen the satellite photo, I'm sure, of the two Koreas at nighttime. You can see the abundant life in the South. Pretty much the only light you see in North Korea is right there at the capital city of Pyongyang. Back to casualties. In 3 short years, the U.S. military had over 54,000 dead, 100,000 wounded, and 8,000 missing in action. Today, we're still receiving remains of South Korean and U.S. troops who were killed and left behind in North Korea during the war. Here are 55 remains returning home. Here's a story of one of those 55. This is Sergeant Roy Buddy DeLauder. He went missing north of the 38th parallel in December of 1950. For 70 years, Buddy's family didn't know what happened. I mean, they assumed that he was dead, but they didn't know. 2 years ago, Buddy came home. This is Buddy's older sister. But they have closure. This is the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. It was built in 1995. Anybody see it in person? It's beautiful. It has 19 statues of U.S. soldiers marching through symbolic rice paddies towards the U.S. flag. There's an inscription that reads, "Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met." I'd like to remind you that freedom is not free. It comes at a huge cost. Again, the United States military is always prepared to defend our country, our allies, and freedom. This was a victory, but it came at a great loss to Korea and the United States. In this room, we have 8 of those men, heroes, who wore the U.S. uniform during the Korean War. Most were sent to the Korean Peninsula to fight, bleed, and die if needed, and many did. I'd like to introduce those heroes at this time. Now, when I call your name, gentlemen, you'll stand, and you will be awarded a Medal of Honor. Not the Medal of Honor, okay? I don't have the authority to do that. But a medal that was lovingly made by a Korean American child to show their appreciation. Okay? Okay. We ready with the awards? Here we go. Okay, Bill Keitel. Bill was a World War II veteran. Please stand, Bill. World War II veteran in Navy. He came very close to being a Korean War veteran. He separated from the Navy just 2 weeks before the Korean War started. Very nice. Bill has been a member here at the American Legion for 63 years, and he's with his daughter, Jessica. Thank you for coming. All right, next we have Courtney Sloan. Courtney. Courtney is U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Now, Courtney told me on the phone that he spent most of his time during the Korean War in Finland. You go where the Army sends you. At any day, he could have been called to go to Korea or anywhere else. You go where the Army sends you to go. Courtney is here with his beautiful wife, Gloria. Thank you for your service. Oh. Thank you. All right, next up is Paul Lee. Paul Lee was U.S. Army military police. Paul told me he served all over the world from 1953 to 1960, but not in Korea. Again, you go where the Army says you go. Paul is here with his lovely wife, Peggy. Thank you. Next up is Jack Kumi, U.S. Army. Jack joined the Army in 1953, and he was ready to go. He was training in Japan when the war ended. Jack moved out here from Denver and has been an American Legion member for 46 years. He was a chaplain at Post in Olathe for 23 years. Jack is here with his wife, Diana. Oh, did I go? Where? Oh, I'm sorry. There's Jack. I've got a couple other pictures of him too. I got out of order here. Was that my fault too? This is also Jack. Okay, I'm going to go back to John Duff. Here's John Duff. We weren't sure John was going to be here. He just got back into town, came straight here. John Duff's U.S. Navy. He's here with his buddy, Kelly Bishop. Thank you, John. I'm glad you made it. Tom Davidson. Unfortunately, I got a call from Tom just shortly before the event, and he told me he wasn't feeling well, so they were going to have to back out. I wanted to meet his wife, Shirley. They've been married for 70 years. She was going to accompany him, but maybe next time. Yep. Jerry Sherrill, U.S. Air Force veteran. Served from 1952 to 1962. During and after the war, he spent time in Daegu, Korea. He was also assigned in Japan, Germany, and Turkey. Lifetime member and officer of the VFW. Jerry is with his daughter, Christina. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'd like to mention the fact that the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. will be dedicated this coming anniversary, and it will have the names of the 36,000 U.S. troops that were killed, plus another, 5,500 that were also killed. And it is beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we've got Peter Kopersky, U.S. Army. Peter shared many great photos with me during his time in the war. Seems like he got around quite a bit while he was in Korea. Here are a few of them. Pete brought his buddy Bob with him. Thanks for coming, Bob. All right, you got an award right behind you, Pete. All right, next up is Donald McGarrigle, right front here. U.S. Navy. Now, Don went to Korea as an enlisted guy on an aircraft carrier. After the war, Don got his commission and became a pilot flying combat missions in Vietnam. He was awarded a Purple Heart in Vietnam and retired after 24 years as a lieutenant commander. Don has been a member of this post for 67 years. He's here with his son, Sean, an Army veteran, and his daughter, Tara. Thank you for being here. Well, Carol. I also wanted to share this photo. I visited Don at his house a few days ago, and he showed me this picture. And this is his beautiful wife. She passed away last year. So, 65 years of marriage. She was beautiful, Don. Almost done, folks. This gentleman could not be here today. He said his family was taking him to a birthday party in Topeka and could not get out of it. But he wishes he could be here. He would have been the only Marine here with us. He was a member here for 70 years at this post. He joined the Marines at 15 years old. He told me they didn't have computers back then, so it was hard for them to check up on you. But he did say that he was 6'4" when he was 15 years old, so I guess he looked old enough. Wayne was part of that Incheon landing I was talking about in September of 1950. Just 6 days after hitting the ground, he was shot. They patched him up, sent him back out. He was shot again in November. Wayne received 2 Purple Hearts in Korea, but many of his buddies weren't so lucky. He went there with 215 men in his company. 17 men came home. Only 3 are alive today. Next up, let's hear it for Wayne. Just 2 more. Larry Nye, also a Marine, also part of the Incheon landing. He told me the story about when he got shot in the back of the leg by a Chinese troop, but that's about all I heard from Larry. He didn't really talk much about his service. He passed away in October. Max DeWeese. Max DeWeese, another Marine who saw battle in 4 major campaigns in World War II. He was with the first U.S. company to land on Japanese soil in Guadalcanal. He received 2 Purple Hearts on Tawara and Saipan, fighting against the Japanese. He was called back to duty for the Korean War, and he stayed in the Marine Reserves until 1967. Max passed away 3 weeks ago at the age of 101. Now, folks, if you remember one thing that I've said up here today, I want you to remember this. Freedom is not free. Men and women are separated from their families. They bleed. They lose arms and legs. They die for freedom. All veterans in the room, please stand. Please face our Korean War brothers. Present arms. Gentlemen, we salute you for your brave service and sacrifices. Order, home. All right, you may be seated. That's all I'm going to say. At this time, I'm going to invite Pastor Chang to say a few words and a blessing, and then we'll have some entertainment. Oh, okay.
We have 2 songs prepared for you today, and the first one is a traditional Korean song called Arirang, and the second one we have a contemporary Christian music called The Blessing. So if you know any of those, feel free to sing along with us, and thank you for your service.
아리랑 고개로 넘어가 Thank you for your service. I'm Pastor Cheng, the Kansas Woori Church. 우리 mean is together. 같이 갑시다. You told me. Lan, Sister Lan, and Brother Dan, you did a really great job. You set up all table, decorate. Yeah, today I'm gonna bless you with my prayer. Would you pray? Dear Lord, you are the Lord of God, the King of heavens. Thank you for Jesus Christ, letting us who you are and who we are. Thank you for your reminder. Freedom is not free. Your salvation is not free. Please lead and help us to place our security in you, Jesus Christ, because you alone are worthy of our trust. Please protect our country and liberty. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Thank you. Enjoy.
At this time, this concludes the program. We took a vote, Kansas Woori Church, and we'd like you to come back every Sunday for a meal. Can you do that? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, if you haven't taken a look at the display over here, please do so. That's it. Does anybody have anything else to say? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to all of our veterans out there, veterans' families, and of course to our special honorees up front here, our Korean War era veterans. Thank you so much.